Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Invest for More. We're at the laundromat. We're going to collect quarters, talk about some issues we had, and things might look a little different here because this is what it looked like when I first opened up. And we had some haunted dryers, and that's part of the story today before we count quarters. You might realize we had some different machines back then. We didn't have our big dryers. We didn't have some of our big washers, but it was still a fun laundromat. We collected almost a quarter of the money that we collect now as well. So things are much, much different. So those were the dryers that were here when I took over the laundromat. And we had tons of issues with them in the beginning. We opened in December of 2023. And so what happened was we had them all gone through, supposedly rehabbed, fixed up by some laundromat guys who proved to be less than ethical or good at their job. But this issue may not have been their fault. What happened was we had an extremely cold spell in below zero weather, lots of wind, and this room back here needs tons of fresh air to operate the dryers. Dryers are supposed to have a massive amount of fresh air. And those windows on the left are pretty much just open to the elements. There's no glass in them. It's just open to the outside. So if it's minus 20 outside, it's probably minus 20 in this room. We fixed those vents, did some other things. But the issue we had was like half the dryers stopped working. And this was the old school change machine. When I operated with just one hopper, which is crazy because there's no way I could do that now. I'd run out of quarters so fast. So another laundromat repair guy who turned out to be really good told me cold weather won't impact the dryers. So many people told me cold weather won't do it. But twice we had super cold weather and half the dryers freaked out, started pulling air codes, wouldn't work. So what we did is we went back there and closed up some of those windows. We left quite a bit of cold air to come in, or fresh air, but not completely open to the elements, and it seemed to fix the problem. We seemed to have no more issues with those dryers. Well, fast forward to today, and we put in some bigger dryers, took out some other dryers. We still have, lots of fresh air coming in from that backspace. But I came to the laundromat this Monday and it was 59 degrees inside. And we have rooftop units. Who knows what our, gas bill is going to be after that. So I knew something was up, something was wrong. So I was looking back at our dryers to see what had happened. And we had huge gaps on the top of the dryers to the sheetrock or trim. Like you could see daylight through there and just cold air just flowing into the laundromat from back there. So I had my guy come put some insulation in, and this was the result of that. When I was looking at it, is they didn't cover the gaps. So a little frustrating there. Not to mention all the lint up there that was supposed to be cleaned multiple times too. But I'm like, hey, this is doing nothing. So that's the insulation job. And not to mention that whole wall is, a quarter, half, maybe 3/4 inch sheetrock, which offers almost no insulation as well. That whole wall could be insulated, probably save us a ton of money on gas bills, as if a laundromat doesn't already have high gas bills as it is. So I came back today to see how much better it was. And there's always random stuff. That's the handle I was missing for our washer. We got another handle on it. And people are always leaving stuff like their IDs or credit cards, and it's amazing the stuff you find in a laundromat. But, it looks like a little bit more insulation was put above the door. So there's the other insulation job. And then if we head back here and look at the improvements, I also had my HVAC guys come over to check the rooftop units. I'm a renter, but the landlord literally lets me bring my own guys and charge him for work we do. Well, they didn't go on the roof to check it because there was snow, but what they did do is cover up that window completely with another of those sheets, so we had almost no air in here. And yes, it was warm in here, but not nearly enough air for our dryers. So took that off, told them, hey, I think you guys would know better than that, being HVAC guys, how much fresh air a dryer needs, and hopefully they don't do that again. So The insulation is better, and I actually myself used a broomstick to push the one insulation thing down because that still wasn't fixed. So it's slightly more insulated without the giant gaps coming into the laundromat, except I still found some giant gaps, so again, not extremely happy, but hey, it's amazing what some paper towels can do to provide insulation as well. So as far as I can tell now, there's no like cold wind blowing back through the dryers into the laundromat, so that should help. But we're looking into some different options for insulation: spray foam, regular insulation, just to do that whole wall and probably save us a ton of money. Okay, now let's check the change machine. So Monday, we had 1,056 cash in here, which is a little bit low. Usually we're 1,100 to 1,200, but not awful. And then during the week, I refilled this once, and then this is the money from during the week that came in, and they're actually pretty low again because I just filled these up. Was it yesterday or the day before? Maybe the day before. So quite a bit of cash in here, so that's a good sign. Like I said, a little low over the weekend. And I mentioned this in my video yesterday at the small laundromat, which had so many problems if you didn't see those. The first week of the year always seems to be a little slow. So we'll see what happens here. At the vending machine, that really wasn't bad. There was quite a bit there. I was going to go to Sam's today. Actually, I was going to go to Sam's this weekend with my son, but then we had the craziness at the small laundromat where the lights shut off and thought maybe things were exploding. Turned out to be fine. So we didn't have time to go to Sam's, so we had to go out there. Then I was going to go today, and we had the issues at the laundromat. Again, the small one, with the dirt everywhere, and yes, and then the machines having the wrong prices. So a lot going on. But I still have enough things to stock this for the most part. I just want to get some more things because we're out of stuff. Soap machine, of course, we'll check and see what we've got in there. So up and down. Some weeks the soap machine has a ton of detergent gone, and some weeks almost none. Have to get everything situated. And there's quite a bit gone actually. So there should be quite a bit of money in here. Again, the vending machine, the soap machine are mostly just for the customer's convenience. We have a 50% profit margin on them, but don't bring in that much money from them to make a huge difference compared to what the washers and dryers do. So we'll count those up though. We'll put them in our chart. We'll see what we've got. I don't see any silver quarters this week. Found one a couple weeks ago. And of course, I refill all those up too and make sure there's plenty of detergent for customers this coming week as well. Takes some time to go through and do all that, but it's not too awful. I won't show you the whole thing, just a couple snippets of how that goes. I just put a bunch of stuff in one box to save me time going back and forth from the storage room back to our soap machine to the storage room, back to the soap machine to the storage room, back to the soap machine. So just one trip makes it a lot easier. All right, so we'll see what we've got from those real quick because I need those buckets to put quarters in for my washers and dryers. The quarters on the right were money we collected Monday because I do empty my big machines twice a week or they get too full, and that's $161 plus a dollar coin for my vending machine. So that's pretty good, like $41. And then the soap, vending, detergent. Not bad. That's more than we had last week by far. So not an awful start. Okay. You can see we have things a little bit different now than when I first opened the laundromat as far as packing machines in here and the vending machine and different stuff. That's not much from our first machine, but that one's kind of hidden in a corner now, so we'll assume that was just bad first luck. Let's see here. That's one of our 80 pounders we got recently. There wasn't very much in it either. Like I said, I've already emptied these once this week. That's a little better. So that's not a full week's worth of quarters. That's just Monday through Friday. There's a pop machine that frustrates me every time I see it because it used to work and now it doesn't. Here are other big machines up front. I thought I found a replacement pop machine because I keep an eye on Facebook Marketplace, but the guy had sold it already. But I want a small one that's not super expensive that works. And those are hard to find, apparently. You have lots of really big ones that are not that expensive. But yeah, that's a 65 quarter. Or no, I thought it was 64, it was 84. See, I'm always getting tricked. That's not bad, that's okay. I wonder, I don't know if the cold weather, that's a decent box too, affects customers that much, because once you're in here, especially if there's quite a few people in here, once the dryers start going, it'll warm up pretty quick. But, you know, overnight, if it's real cold overnight, it can be cold inside here in the morning, and the first people get in here, it could be pretty cold, you know, especially if we're in the 50s inside. That's not good. And then the other question is, like, you know, how much energy are we expelling, or using, not really expelling, consuming, that's a good word, consuming, to get that temperature back up to where we want it again, where if we just had things insulated well, you know, it's just staying in the building and not leaving us. Because I don't think my little laundromat is going to do a good job of warming up the outside of Colorado. At least as far as my science background goes. Well, those aren't bad. I don't know if anybody noticed, but I've learned to do the right to left hand switch of coin box unlocking, which is actually a little trickier because you have to turn it the opposite way than you think with your brain. But I've got it down now. These aren't bad. They're not, I don't think we're setting a record, but they're definitely way better than the awful week we had a few weeks ago over Christmas. So, could be better, could be worse. Oh, that one that's actually quite full. That was a good one. Extra quarter got stuck in there. Oh, I almost dumped that whole thing all over the floor. Yes. That would have been bad. Alright, so got a few more washers to collect here, and then we'll see what we've got, and then we'll collect dryers too. These machines usually do pretty well. Yeah, that's a good one too. Alright, so again, it'll be interesting to see what we have here. I don't think we're going to set a record, but I think we're still on the upward trend as far as our revenue tracking, which is good. Not bad. Of course, this is the row we don't mention the machines on, of those being out of order. Still having issues with those. And yes. I do have the part for the one to my left right here finally. I finally got that. That took forever, but it's not installed yet. I think it's a bad valve. Because it just, if you run that machine, the water just goes continuously. You can even cut the power to the machine and the water just keeps running constantly. That's also not good for your utility usage when that happens. Or washing clothes. Alright, so we'll get those back there. Count these up. I've been hoping lately for about 6,000 quarters from my washers. Don't know if I'll quite get there, but it's definitely not, like I said, we had a really awful week over Christmas, and this will definitely be a lot better than that. This week I decided to speed things up a little bit and go to 3 times speed. It does take a while to count 5,000-6,000 quarters. So you get the abbreviated version. Last week we did the whole thing. So if you really like to watch this, last week's video, we show the whole count. And spoiler alert, there was a little bit more last week than this week. But from our front machines, that's what this first bucket was. Love to have 3,000 quarters in there. We ended up with 2939. Close. Not quite. So we'll see what's in the smaller machines. There's 4,000. Like I said, 6,000 would be nice, but not sure we're going to get there this week. Let me slow it down here at the end because it's so suspenseful. And 56, 53, I believe. Usually I zoom in closer than that. Sorry about that. So, not quite 6, but that's not bad. Now we'll see what our dryers have. Like I said, I've got an Insta 360 camera, which I can record and just do all kinds of edits on the back end. But it takes some time and me paying attention to do all those edits. And so I feel like I'm a little farther away this week than last week, but hopefully the frame rate and stuff isn't as crazy as it was a couple weeks ago. I think that was my computer freaking out because it just takes a tremendous amount of power and space to do these videos and edit them. Like this video, once I'm finished with it, it'll probably take a good half hour to 45 minutes to save it once it's all edited. And then once I upload it to YouTube, it's probably another hour to 2 hours for it to upload to YouTube. So it takes some time, and that's with a, high-speed internet direct cable to my computer, not wireless. That's with a whatever line they call it. These aren't bad. Not amazing, but not bad. If you saw the small laundromat video, you realize I priced my dryers wrong there again, or had some issues. Had that same issue with these dryers too after the awful laundromat guys had supposedly repriced them all. One of the dryers was giving people like 16 minutes per quarter, and for some reason they all wanted to use that dryer instead of the 7 minutes it was supposed to be at. So I didn't catch that for a while. Once I caught that, that helped out with our sales and stuff when it was supposed to be right. And then had some other issues with the dryers being priced a little wrong when I got some new dryers. And yeah, but I think everything's figured out here, hopefully. Alright, let's count this up and see what we've got for the dryers. And then we'll have our fancy chart that shows us all the revenue. Alright, reset the machine. And let's get started. This one, 2,000's been kind of our goal, but we've been doing a little better than that lately. But it's kind of fun how in the beginning, our goals were so much lower. Just like a few months ago, I feel like I was just hoping to get 1,600 quarters from the dryers. Now I'm hoping to get 2,000 quarters from the dryers. With the washers, I used to hope to get 4,000 quarters from them. Then it was 5. Now it's 6. So be sweet if our goals just keep increasing. So we're chugging along there. Doesn't look too bad. Definitely beating 1,600, that's for sure. We might get to 2 here. There's 17, 18. 2,000, cool. All right. So we got our 2,000 from the dryers. So let's see what all this looks like on the charts. Like I said, we started in December of 2023, and we had like $500 in sales our first week. Kind of crazy. I feel like on a really busy weekend, we probably would get close to that in one day now. We slowly moved up, and we're doing better and better and better. We'd have these plateaus I talk about every week, and we kind of dip down, then we break through, then we dip down and set a new plateau. And then we kind of were stuck at the 1,800, kind of almost 1,700 to 1,800 mark for a long time, and not making a huge ton of, progress from that. And then we added some bigger machines, which I thought would help increase revenue significantly. And in the beginning, it did almost nothing. In fact, we might have had a decrease in revenue. But then we had a record, which was really cool. Just blew away all our other weeks. And then we kind of reset a plateau since then. And there it was right there in November. And then, some down weeks, which always seems to happen after a big one. But we've had some good weeks again. That was our awful week over Christmas, which was so weird. And then there we are, over 2,000 again. So that's good to see, over 2,000, not quite as much as last week, not close to our record, but again, up above where we were before. So hopefully we just keep improving, have more people come in, use the machines, do their laundry, and that's what we're there for. All right, we'll see about the insulation thing, what we do there. I'm curious to see what my gas bills are, how much they go up. And we've had a really mild fall and winter in Colorado, so it hasn't been too much of an issue. But we had a couple cold spells here recently, and we definitely can improve things there. All right, let me know what you think. That's the weekly laundromat video. We'll be back next week, see what happens then, and keep on chugging away and see what happens with our revenue and sales and all that throughout the year.